One of these mic packs is working. Hey, now they both are. Hello and welcome to the show. Thanks everyone for stopping by. It is, sorry, I'm running a little late. There's no hiding from that fact because I've got the big clock running right back there. It is time for JP's product pick of the week. It's me, JP. We're here in my workshop, and it is time to reveal a really cool product that we have, which is something a bit old and new put together. Really cool board, and we have it on huge discount today. You'll get this thing for half off if you want to head over to that URL right there or to that QR code that'll take you there. You will be inside the product page, and so am I, because this very video is being broadcast from inside the product page. So you can head on over there, watch the show, and throw some of these in your cart if you want to get them at half price. You don't need a coupon code or anything like that. You don't need to knock 3 times or answer a riddle or sing a song, do a dance. All you have to do is throw it in your cart and you will get this week's product pick for half off, 50% off today. Before I go and show you some demos and talk about this, I'm going to have Lady Ada jump back a little bit and tell you about it herself. So please take it away, Lady Ada.
This is the finally released Cutie Pie Pico ESP32. So this is a Cutie Pie board, which is our like teeny, it's not quite a trinket, it's a little bit larger. It's the same pinout and shape as the Seed Shao. But we've installed the ESP32 Pico V203 onto the back, along with a USB to serial converter, the CP2102 or 04. And what's really cool about that chip, the ESP32 Pico, is it's basically an ESP32, the dual core Tensilica chip you know and love. It's got Wi-Fi, it's got Bluetooth Classic, it's got Bluetooth Low Energy. And it also shows like the crystal and a bunch of passives and all these other things that you need. So you see there's actually like not a lot of stuff on the back. There's, a couple capacitors, there's the reset circuitry, and there's the Scilab's CP2102 chip, but really you don't need a lot of stuff because it's kind of like all packed into that one chip, including 8 megabytes of flash and 2 megabytes of PSRAM, which is great. It means you can do a lot of very advanced IoT projects because you've got a lot of flash and memory. Not only do you have that 512, I think, K of SRAM, but you've got 2 megabytes of PSRAM as well. And then on the top, we've got the USB-C for uploading and data, the boot button and the reset button if you ever need to. The boot button can be used as a user button. It's connected to GPIO 0, which after the program's booted, you can use that as an input button. It's got a 3.3 volt regulator. It's got a little NeoPixel with power control and the antenna. And we made sure that this can be used in low power mode, so you can turn off the NeoPixel and go into deep sleep and use about 70 microamps, and we verified that with our power monitor PPK2, which we really love. And then one of the demos that we wanted to show was, just because it's fun to show it off, is it's a pretty powerful chip and there's a lot of memory. So we built this demo, hold on, it doesn't like the screen, where you can play, here, maybe you can hold this for me. You can play Nintendo games and emulate Doom, or it's actually really hard to play through the screen. Hold on, I gotta restart. Yeah, I really like Arkanoid. I hated when I get to the arcade and I'd have to like pay 25 cents to play Arkanoid.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now I can play anytime. Okay, hold on.
I just went blurry. So.
Oh no, sorry.
Okay, so.
But on the back. Oh wait,
it.
Let me go to the back and then I'll focus lock this thing. Okay, so on the back, you've got the Cutie Pie, so you can just plug it into a breadboard or header, and anything that's. The reason I was like showing the emulator demo is basically anything that is designed for the ESP32, which is like thousands and billions of projects, will run. It's got the ADC outputs, the DAC outputs. You can run I2S on it. It's got the high-speed SPI pins. So kind of everything, just a little bit of everything you need to do IoT projects. And of course, a STEM QT port on the front. You can plug I2C sensors onto it to make more advanced. You can add GPIO expanders if you want more GPIO. or you can add sensors that you can then send to your IoT service. Okay, next up, we've updated the Cutie Pie ESP32 Pico, which uses the ESP32 Pico chip. It's got 8 megabytes of flash and 2 megabytes of PS RAM. It's adorable. It's an ESP32. So if you stop here and you look, something's different. That's right. The USB to serial chip has changed. It was the CP2102N, but wouldn't you know it, there's a chip shortage. We can't get a lot of those chips, and so we've swapped it for the CH9102F. So this is a revision, but basically as long as you install the driver for the CH9102F, you're good to go. It works exactly the same. It's a drop-in replacement. We tested it out with Linux, with a Mac, using the latest Mac OS and M1, and with Windows, and it updates super fast, and it's super great.
Yeah, that's right. It's super fast and super great. Look at it. Look at it right there. It's fast. It's great. It's in shadow. Let me pull one up here real quick. That's my product pick of the week this week. It is the Cutie Pie ESP32 Pico. This is running the dual-core 240 megahertz Tensilica processor that we know and love. It has Wi-Fi on it. It has Bluetooth Classic. It has Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE. It has a bunch of GPIO. I think we have 11 GPIO pins on here. We have the USB-C, I2C via Stemma QT port, so you can plug in tons and tons of peripherals to it. What else have we got on here? Let me see. Let me check my notes. Yeah, so this is the ESP32 V203. Confusing designator. I think sometimes that's more commonly called the ESP32 Pico, but it is essentially a updated version of the classic ESP. So it's not the S2, it's not the S3. This is the normal ESP32. Some cool things about it. It has the dual analog outputs on it, so you can do some of the incredibly cool composite video demos that you've probably seen before in the past on ESP32. In fact, that's what that is right there. That is one of these running some Arduino code that is sending out composite video, color composite video, and I have it plugged into this monitor over here. But I'm actually going to pull this so you can see it right here. You can see what we're talking about. Where'd you go? There you are. So I have this plugged in to a composite video source. You can see it just turned off there. And I've got USB. Actually, I've got battery on it as well. This is a, let me plug it back in. It should still be running. This is a really cool ESP32 project that it didn't take much doing to get to run on this little Cutie Pie. And we have that up in a guide that I made, and you can find that up on the Learn Guides. I'll post a link to that in a little bit. We have the ability to run a whole bunch of different types of code on here. So Arduino runs great. You can run MicroPython on here. If you want to use CircuitPython, that is a web workflow. It is not as easy as a lot of other boards, so you probably look elsewhere if you're wanting a little Cutie Pie to do CircuitPython. It can do it, but it's not the standard workflow. However, something this is great for, and some people mentioned this in our chat, IoT projects. Because of the Wi-Fi on here, using Whippersnapper, our Adafruit I/O and I/O in general, Internet of Things type of dashboards and support for adding sensors, reading them, sending info. All that stuff works really well, and if you want to, you can code it with our Whippersnapper firmware, which means there's really no coding at all. It's just pick some options, upload code to the board that is generated for you, and I'll show you a demo of that. And also WLED. Some people have asked some questions about this, I think, in the chat. This is a great board for running WLED, which is essentially, again, a codingless way. You just upload a firmware via a web page that allows you to do really sophisticated NeoPixel or RGB LED projects on the board without having to touch any code. And I'll show you a little demo of that as well. You can also do some Bluetooth Classic stuff on here, which is cool. A lot of boards don't do Bluetooth Classic. I don't have a demo to show, but I did test it out earlier, just sending some serial text to an Android device. Works really well. There's some easy ways to do Bluetooth Classic to Android. You can also do Bluetooth LE. So let me show you some things, how about? First of all, let me show you this thing, which is half off. So $7.48 will get you that QT Py ESP32 Pico right now, just during the show. So you don't need a coupon code. Just head to that site, throw a bunch of them in your cart because you probably want more than one, right? Maximum of 10, no resellers. So on the page here, you'll see we've got some little info specifications about the board. A couple things I didn't mention, 8 megabytes of flash, which is great for things like the WLED projects and IoT projects. Sometimes having a good amount of flash is really helpful, so you can store some of your code on there that's setting things up like little web servers in the case of WLED. We've got 2 megs of PS RAM on there. I think there's 512 of regular RAM on there. The pins can pretty much all be used as PWM. There's 2 I2C ports on there, both the STEMMA QT and the regular pins on there. You can do I2S, you can do SPI, you can do UART, USB serial with our USB serial chip that's on there. There are 8 capacitive touch sensors on there as well. So lots and lots of great little features on here. If you take a look at, we'll take a look at this demo here. So let me change screens out real quick to this one here. And I will pull the camera out a bit here. So I'll show you what I've got running here is, I'm going to go ahead and focus this. Change focus a couple times here. So you can see I've got the QT Py ESP32 Pico. It is plugged in over USB, in this case just for power. And we can use things like our accessories like the LiPo BFF if we want to add on a little battery pack to this. So all I'm getting here is power, no data, there's no trick up my sleeve here. So any info that I send to this is going to be over Wi-Fi. So this is actually there's a little tiny antenna right there. This is paired to a Wi-Fi router here in my workshop. And this is plugged into the little control pins on one of these smart outlets. So this is a 120 volt outlet capable of doing AC. So it's passing through AC with a big relay that's inside of here. There's actually a couple of them. And I have that running to a little spotlight. So this is a pretty high wattage incandescent old school spotlight. And you can see here, having put Whippersnapper firmware on the QT Py, I can now use it as a device on Adafruit I/O. So first test of this, make sure it's paired up. You can see I'm changing the color. I'll just put my hand there so you can see the reflection. Changing the color of this LED. I can boost the brightness of that, switch that color around. So everything you see me clicking on here in the Adafruit I/O page is then going over the entire internet and then back here through Wi-Fi to the QT Py. And if I want to get fancy with it, keep an eye on the spotlight here. You won't be able to help it because it's going to get real bright. Just clicked my Adafruit I/O on off. That is essentially just toggling a pin high and low. So I've got ground and a digital pin, D13 here plugged in. That is controlling the relay on this AC power tail that I have there. So that is a really great use for this type of small, inexpensive QT Py ESP32. Put Whippersnapper in on there, firmware on there, and then control it using Adafruit I/O. You can do things like gather sensor data if you want to plug in some I2C devices. We have a whole bunch of those. And those are really easy to add. If you look here, if I click on New Component inside of Adafruit I/O, I can then go and pick from a whole bunch of different choices of add-ons. You can see it's very click and drag and set up with a nice UI. There's no need to do any hand coding of this to make this work. So that's one use, using Adafruit I/O. I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. And then I'll show you this little demo of WLED. So what I've got right here, another ESP32 QT Py Pico there. And I have a small NeoPixel strip plugged into the 5 volt power, the ground, and pin A0 on there. It's actually acting as a digital pin. And since that's really nice and bright, I'm going to place a little diffusion acrylic over it there. And let me switch over to a different page here. Okay, so this is, that thing's got to get on my network there so you can see it was failing at first, but I think it should be running now. So WLED, similar to Whippersnapper in that you put a firmware on it, and then it is essentially serving up a local web page, which again, I'm using power from my USB cable here, but all the data that's going to go to that Cutie Pie to tell those LEDs to light up is coming from the wireless connection, coming from Wi-Fi. So you can see here we got a nice little color picker we can use to change the strip. This is a little 8-pixel strip. But what's really cool are these presets. So if we do something like chase, I can go and select a preset animation. I can change the color palette of that animation here, and there are tons and tons of these. I like, let me show you Plasma. I thought Plasma looks really cool. So I'll pick Plasma. That has a random color theme on it right now. I can switch that color theme out, and we get some really cool animations here. Dead easy to change, pretty much from a browser. Any browser you want, you can adjust these animations, you can adjust the color palettes you're using, and you can go in and configure things so that if you have different numbers of neopixels, if you have a 2D matrix versus a 1D strip, all of those are configurable here in WLED. If you want to learn more about that, head to the Learn Guides. There is a Learn Guide that Erin St. Blaine put up, a couple of them where she uses WLED. It'll take you through it, but it is really quite simple. Really all it requires is installing the USB serial chip driver. So Lady Ada mentioned that we have a new updated driver or a new updated chip on this board, and that requires getting the proper driver, but our guide will take you through that, just the main guide. And in fact, if I head to the main page here for the ESP32 Pico Cutie Pie, you'll see there's a Learn Guide link right here. If you click on that, you will get the usual overview, pinouts, talks about low power usage, which we have some nice tricks for getting the most power out of this. And then if you look at, I believe, even just this Arduino IDE setup link, there are some instructions here on loading the USB to serial converter chip driver. So if you buy one today, you're going to use this, the CH9102 driver, either listed here for Windows and Mac. I think it's built in on Linux, so you don't need to do anything. Once you have that on there, you'll be able to find this device on your USB ports in order to upload code to it, and that can be the WLED code, that could be Arduino, that could be the Whippersnapper, MicroPython, and like I said, if you're going to use CircuitPython, you'll use the web workflow for that. Let's see. So let's take any questions anyone has over in our chats. One question I saw earlier was just about heat. So these run hot, especially if you're doing Wi-Fi stuff. So I don't have my little thermal, what do you call it, laser thermometer, infrared thermometer here, but just touching it, yeah, it's hot. It's hot like hot tap water. They can run around 120 degrees. They are not going to burn me. I probably don't want to stick that in my pocket, but if you at least give it a little bit of airflow, nothing's going to overheat. These just do run hot, but it's nothing to be concerned with. As Toddbot said over in the chat, there's just not a lot of thermal mass on these boards to absorb that heat, so it's just flowing right off the surface of the chip. It's not a problem, especially if you try some of these projects that are doing the composite video. Again, the chip will feel hot. It runs fine. I've had these running for a long time without any issues. So you could check the data sheet, by the way, if you're curious, in our Learn Guide. If you head to the Downloads section and click on the ESP32 Pico data sheet, you should find all the info about the thermal characteristics and how hot is too hot. But while these will feel hot to the touch, nothing's melting down there. Let's see, they say operating temperature range is up to 85 degrees Celsius. So I won't do that math. I can't. I need a computer or a calculator for that. But I'm going to guess that's way more than I'm feeling on these right now. Let's see, other questions that anyone has. Rufus says, yeah, the product page should updated to mention that CircuitPython runs on there because it says only Arduino and MicroPython. I agree. I will have that looked at after the show. Thanks for pointing that out. If you're curious about the web workflow for CircuitPython here, you can just type in ESP32 CircuitPython in the Learn Guide, and there is a, oh, no, you can't just type that in. Let's see if it comes up. There's a nice guide by Carter. Get out of the search here. Oh, did I pass it? CircuitPython on ESP32 Quick Start. This guide right here will take you through what the web workflow is. Because this does not have native USB support, you will not find the usual USB drive called CircuitPy drive on your desktop and save code to it. It'll only be using the web workflow in the browser to send the code to it. So that is the caveat there. It's not as easy as your typical USB supported CircuitPython board. In fact, we generally don't bother with CircuitPython on drives on boards that can't show up as the USB drive, since that's such a central part of how that works. Let's see. Yeah, I'll put a link to that. It's been here. We just don't have it linked in the main guide. So there you go. Drop that over in the YouTube as well. Let's see. I think those are the demos I wanted to show. So WLED here, really cool. Some older school. I'll pull that guide up here. This one is, and I think someone put that up in the Discord, so thank you. It's called Video Nub Shank, ESP32 QT Py Composite Video Injector. So that guide will show you how to get NTSC, or I think PAL. I think we can do either. You'll check out the code for that. Those were the two demos I made with it. One was just this existing clock, and then I also made my own sort of video test pattern, NTSC style test pattern generator that Limor uses to check which way is up on new displays that have composite inputs. That's kind of helpful for that. And then, of course, the on-off switch over the internet using a little power strip tail here and the relay that's built in. Again, all over Wi-Fi, which is great. I think that's going to do it. So let me know if anyone has any other questions in the chats. Yeah, don't forget with any of the QT Pys, this one included, if you want to add add-ons, let's see, here's I think from the main product page, we probably have some links down below. We have the BFFs, so you can see here's the LiPo BFF that allows you to add battery charging and a nice JST plug for running a LiPo battery. We have what other ones? Oh, they're not listed here. We have NeoPixel Driver BFF. We have NeoKey Mechanical Key Switch BFF, right? I think we have that. We have an IoT button BFF, which is just a nice big clicky button that you can use if you're using Wi-Fi to send info over the web. So, and I'm probably missing a few others, but if you just type in BFF, you'll see some stuff that you can plug in on the backside of these boards. All right, I think that's going to do it. Where did I lose one? They're so small, right? Did I bring it over here and just set it down? Did I eat it? Did I put it in my pocket? I've lost it. Oh, there it is. All right. So let's wrap this up. Again, remember, if you want to go check them out, that's the URL right there. That'll take you to the main page for this product. They're $7.48 right now, just till the end of the show. The price will go back up. I think they're still in stock. Hopefully, so go grab a few and find some good projects to throw on here, or roll your own cool projects that run on ESP32. That is going to do it for today. So that is my product pick of the week. This week it is the QT Py ESP32 Pico. Probably shouldn't have done that. Thanks everyone for stopping by. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been JP's Product Pick of the Week. Bye-bye.